Welcome to another video, this time featuring the level 90 Bard rotation as well as some tweaks and tips for lower level ranges. Just remember, I'm not a Bard main, so please take all these info with a grain of salt and double check with Bard players you firmly trust, for the case you're venturing into in-depth optimization. On the other hand, if certain terms or even skills don't make any sense to you yet, visit your spellbook or wait for the comprehensive job guide coming very soon. Alright, starting with the potion pre-pull, which then will perfectly line up with all your big attacks inside of Wondrous Minuet, which is used as our bursting song stance, and all of our big cooldowns should be used within that minuet. And to grant space for weaving in OGCDs properly, pre-pull using the pot is kinda necessary. So if you don't want to use a pot, you can just leave it out. Then of course our first GCD will be Stormbite, followed by entering Wondrous Minuet and popping Raging Strikes, our most powerful buff. Then Caustic Bite being our next GCD. Afterwards you're going to use Imperial Arrow and Bloodletter simply to kick their cooldowns early on and grant some natural delay to our other buffs, as Radiant Finale and Battle Voice have a slightly shorter duration than Raging Strikes. So use your first Burst Shot, then Battle Voice followed by Radiant Finale. Yes, unfortunately we have to use it with a 2% boost here, otherwise holding it back for too long would kill our rotation later on and waste the damage buff here as well. Now use Burst Shot or Refulgent Arrow if you received a Straight Shot proc. But note that if you use Burst Shot here and the proc is being pulled, don't use Barrage afterwards and delay it by one more GCD, because Barrage will always trigger Refulgent Arrow, so never overwrite procs you got already. Then use Sidewinder afterwards or when you can fit it after Barrage, but keep an eye out for Pitch Perfect procs, which should always be prioritized. But due to changes to the repertoire tick system, now granting you an 80% chance to proc each 3 seconds, you can easily squeeze in stuff in between. So now procs will happen individually and not linked to the Bard's dots anymore. Which leads us to the last seconds of our buff's duration. Use as many Burst Shots and Refulgent Arrow procs as possible, but keep at least 3 seconds of your shortest buff to snapshot your dots with Iron Jaws. Snapshotting simply means that reapplying dots through Iron Jaws effect, all your buffs and potion effects you have active in the moment you're using Iron Jaws will be snapshot to count for the whole duration of your 2 dots. And with the added 15 seconds in Endwalker, this is more important than ever before. So don't forget to snapshot with all your buffs active. Afterwards, fall back into your usual priority system, which means keep dots active all the time, have a song stance running every second you find yourself in combat, use Imperial Arrow and Bloodletter to not have their stacks be unused, which means Bloodletter can be saved now due to having multiple charges, and before entering Mage Spellet, make sure to use your last Pitch Perfect stacks and then switch over to the second song stance you should use. But now with the changes in Endwalker, Mage Spellet is actually a bit weaker than a 4-stacked Army's Paean, so we're going to cut down its uptime to around 34 seconds, but basically just use Army's Paean whenever Wanderer is around the 45-second cooldown mark. Furthermore, make sure to use your Apex Arrow in time to have it stacked up and ready once Wanderer's Minuet finishes again. Then when switching over to Army's Paean, make sure to use Bloodletter in that way that 1 or 2 stacks are available during your bursting window, even though it is hard to keep it back sometimes, where I'm struggling myself a lot. It won't kill you, so if you just like spamming that button, do whatever you want. And once Wanderer's Minuet comes back off cooldown, use it, but double check that all your burst CDs are also not far from being ready, otherwise you might delay and misalign cooldown timings later on. If that is secured, repeat your burst sequence and remember to include your Apex and Blast Arrow, while utilizing the full potential of your Radiant Finale this time, as well as profiting from the new buff of Army's Paean when entering another song stance, making your GCDs roll much faster for 10 seconds. On level 70 all your voice gauges and Radiant Finales are missing, so you just stick to the raw mechanical system we talked about, which basically makes your timings easier and doesn't change anything at all. Burst on Wanderer, push Refulgent Arrows, snapshot your dots, and so on. And below 70 things are getting even more straightforward, no Refulgent Arrow procs, but other than that keep your vibe with your songs identical, while snapshotting dots under buffed windows. Alright, that's it for the explanation, so stay tuned for my comprehensive Bard guide coming soon, and until then, enjoy my highest DPS try on the Pandemonium 1 Savage dummy, where the rotation actually was a bit flawed, but sometimes crits and direct hits carry your performance. So have fun, stay safe, stay healthy, and keep loving Final Fantasy.